Good afternoon, and thanks for joining me today. My name is Aubrey Duncan, and I'm the Director of Food Safety at Tosca. In the past few months, maybe you've seen some headlines about COVID-19. I'm speaking with you today on compliance and planning and how Tosca has managed the pandemic. COVID-19 has put a pressure on supply chains and economies worldwide. According to data from the U.S. Department of Labor, in 2019, average weekly unemployment claims were over 215,000 per week. As of September 2020, that number is greater than 1.5 million per week. That's a staggering 700% increase, and the year isn't even finished yet. Globally, the International Labor Organization reports that workers have lost $3.5 trillion in income. And in industry news reports, the food service sector in the U.S. has lost $120 billion just through March and May of this year. Further research by Valor Arthi and John Parnham tells us that the Dow Jones fell 35% through COVID-19. That's nearly double the losses compared to similar events like the 1957 influenza, when the Dow only fell 15%. Their research also shows that long-term economic growth, as measured by GDP, is significantly impacted each time there's a widespread emergency like polio, the Spanish flu, or smallpox. Without a plan in place, emergencies like COVID-19 are a threat to the success of businesses and supply chains everywhere. Through compliance programs, companies can plan for the worst case and in doing so, mitigate such risk. As the food supply chain grows, related compliance standards have evolved to meet more complex needs. At Tosca, we updated our compliance programs in November of 2019 to do the same. We formalized what strategic planning looks like within the organization and developed a process to evaluate risk and opportunity across our entire business. Key programs like change management and emergency preparedness and response were updated to look at risk and opportunities to the food safety management system and how they would continue to work across the entire business and not just at a certified site. We added business continuity planning and included thresholds that let us know when to start the process. With business continuity planning, we've recognized external issues can pose a risk to our business. We've developed a way to rate those risks, documented a process that will allow us to create action plans and address each one of them. For our change management procedure, we updated it to include a review of the risk and opportunities with every change we make. We added a process to manage temporary change in new products and put in place time to review the risk and opportunities at the end of all these changes. Did something become a permanent change, or were there unintended changes that we didn't consider? This compliance structure has allowed us to successfully execute business continuity planning for COVID-19. It's protected our customers, our team members, and our business. The business continuity planning process has 4 key steps. The first one is to identify risks to the business. We evaluate those risks for an action plan. Once certain thresholds are met, we execute that plan, and then we review the actions to see if they were effective. If they weren't effective, we adjust accordingly. In step 1, we were able to anticipate what types of risk COVID-19 posed to our business. This included things like changing customer demand as people started eating at home and not eating out, the limited availability of key goods, limited labor supply, and interpreting fast-paced and ever-changing information. In step 2, we evaluated all of those risks for the type of actions required and who would be responsible. Tosca has a diverse supply chain, and because of that, we determined that the biggest impacts to our business would be labor supply and the availability of goods that help us maintain a food-safe operation. With step 3, we put in place a plan to address those risks. To prevent the spread of COVID-19 and reduce the risk of labor shortage across all of our operations, we limited non-essential travel and non-essential visitors in our sites. We increased the cleaning efforts in all of our high-traffic areas, put in place social distancing guidelines during breaks, lunches, shift changes. We educated team members on COVID-19 and how it spreads, and created a healthy habits incentive program to encourage our team members to follow these new guidelines. For the supplies critical to our business, we established the quantities we needed to continue operation. We sourced new vendors to provide like items and created a regular review cadence. In step 4 with our review, our senior leadership team meets on a weekly basis to monitor all of those changes in risk that we talked about above. How are we operating to meet customer demand? That COVID-19 was effectively being mitigated amongst our locations, and to see if anything we had put in place was not working. If something wasn't going right, functional groups were brought together to review the changes, update our actions so that they'd better address the risk. Tosca's compliance programs enabled us to meet historic customer demand, keep all of our team members safe, integrate 2 newly acquired businesses to become a global company, and maintain operations in our service centers worldwide. Thanks for joining me today, and I look forward to answering any of the questions you may have.